What's up, everybody? This is Fred Ricciani of TSC News. It is, well, technically January 7th, unless you're on the West Coast, 2018. Welcome to the Pro Wrestling Week in Review, a brand new series we're going to have exclusively right here on Facebook.com/The Sports Courier, with the podcast being available on SoundCloud.com/TSC News, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, every major podcast platform outside of Spotify. All you got to do is search my name, Fred Ricciani, or search TSC News, and you'll be able to find it and subscribe. Or you could just like this Facebook page, Facebook.com/The Sports Courier. You can find all the information you need on our official website, thesportscourier.com. With everybody doing Facebook Lives, with us having a lot of success with our Facebook Lives and Facebook video blogs, I figured, hey, if WWE in 2018 can have a Facebook exclusive show, then why the hell not TSC News? So that's the reasoning for that. On Pro Wrestling Week in Review, we go over the week in professional wrestling. Mainly WWE and New Japan, but occasionally some indies and any other news going on. So let's start with the biggest news of the week, the biggest event of the week, which is New Japan's version of WrestleMania, Wrestle Kingdom, which took place January 4th at the Tokyo Dome. A sellout crowd, or near sellout crowd, of 35,000 plus people. Just an insane number of people. So actually, technically 35,000 paid and 43,000 total, or around that, according to Dave Meltzer. So hell of a crowd. Biggest crowd in the Tokyo Dome in some time. And it was headlined by not one, but two main events. Kazuchika Okada, the reigning IWGP Heavyweight Champion, taking on Tetsuya Naito for the IWGP title. And Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega in the epic Alpha versus Omega match for the New Japan United States Heavyweight Championship. And boy, oh boy, since January 4th, I've actually been pretty sick and battling a cold, so excuse my voice. But if there's one good cure for a cold, it is some great wrestling, at least for this wrestling fan right here. So let's start from the bottom and get to the top when it comes to New Japan and Wrestle Kingdom, and we'll talk a little bit about New Year's Dash as well before we transition to WWE. First of all, short synopsis, great show. It's going to be very, very hard to beat for show of the year. I mean, maybe New Japan's Dominion show will top that. Maybe WrestleMania will do it. I'm sure WrestleMania will do its best, but the wrestling we saw here, my God. So we had the pre-show Battle Royal, which is typically called the New Japan Rumble. It's typically just something to get the crowd going, full of surprises and everything. This year they didn't have that many surprises compared to previous years. I usually skip this. This is actually the first Wrestle Kingdom that I watched straight through. I think I watched most of the 2015 one because it was on pay-per-view and Jim Ross was commentating that with Chael Sonnen. But this is the first year I really watched it straight through. Usually with New Japan Pro Wrestling shows, I try to watch the whole thing, but because of time constraints and everything with my work, I usually, see what people say because I don't always watch it in real time. Figure out what the best matches are. Usually it's Kenny Omega and Okada matches, and seek out those. And then anything else I hear about, maybe a dark horse match that was really good with Juice Robinson, I'll go back and watch that later. But this is the first time in a long time that I watched a New Japan Pro Wrestling card from top to bottom in real time, by the way, on the East Coast. So it was pretty damn late. I gotta send a big shout out to Asian and European wrestling fans, South American wrestling fans who watch our pro wrestling shows in Eastern time at inconvenient times on their end. Much respect, guys. You're very dedicated. So we had Masahito Kagihara win the Battle Royal. I wasn't familiar with this gentleman too much, but from what I understand, he is from UWFI, which is the former rival organization of New Japan Pro Wrestling. He had been battling cancer, and he did win this Battle Royal, which was not only a nice moment for him, but he also paid tribute to Yoshihiro Takayama, the Japanese wrestling and MMA legend, who's still dealing with some serious medical issues. But kudos to Voices of Wrestling and a number of other media outlets that raised money for Takayama, and he's definitely getting the much needed money for his medical expenses. So it was a nice moment there. We had the opener of the pay-per-view, which was the Young Bucks, Nick and Mac Jackson, take on Roppongi 3K, Sho and Yo, managed by Rocky Romero, the veteran. They won via sharpshooter submission to win the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles for, get this, guys, not one time, not two, not three times, not four times, not five times, not six times, 7 times. They're now the 7-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. I really do think going forward, though, that Gato the Booker, who's also Okada's manager, should look into retiring the Junior Heavyweight Tag Team titles and merging them with the Heavyweight Tag Team titles and just making those and making that whole division open weight, because I feel like there are so many awesome matches the Bucks and Roppongi 3K could have. This was a great opener. The one thing that really that I liked a lot but also really bothered me was the back bumps. Now the back bumps, including Roppongi 3K diving onto the Bucks on the outside, played into the whole match, where Roppongi 3K dove onto the Bucks. One of them, I think it was Show, landed splat on his back on the ramp. Now, he may be okay. He was selling quite a bit and it played into the match, much like Matt Jackson, who also injured his back in the match. But these guys took real flat back bumps on the floor and on the apron while selling their back injuries. So while they are quote-unquote selling, they still took bumps that, in theory, should actually hurt. So I was legitimately worried about these guys. I was a little uncomfortable. I know it's their version of WrestleMania and everything, but all 4 of these guys are really talented. And I don't know. I feel like they could have accomplished the goal of selling their back and working on the back without taking some bumps that made them go splat on the mat. Now, granted, maybe that wasn't supposed to happen. Perhaps one of the Bucks was supposed to catch Roppongi 3K and they didn't do a good job at doing that, or it was mistimed or whatever. But that made me just a little uncomfortable. Maybe that's the smart fan in me, so to speak. Just like, man, I hope these guys are okay. But evidently all 4 involved are okay. And they had a really, really good opening match with the Bucks getting the win via sharpshooter submission, working on the back. And, great selling ball involved. A much more psychological match from the Young Bucks as opposed to the million moves an hour. And look, either approach is fine. These guys are making money. They're selling merchandise. I really can't hate on these guys' hustle, even though one of them blocked me for no reason. I do think at times they come off a little on Twitter, so to speak, where I've seen cases where there's fans that won't tweet them directly at all. They won't tag them. That'll just say, I don't really like that kind of wrestling in a match, and they'll tweet them, call them market, and block them. I don't know. I get it. It's a wrestling character and everything. And again, these guys are probably nice guys in real life. I got nothing against them personally. But, that person you block, forget me, okay, that's going to buy New Japan shows anyway. But, that person you block might be a person that'll buy a Bullet Club shirt. If he doesn't buy a Young Bucks shirt, he might buy a Cody shirt. If he doesn't buy a Cody shirt, he might buy a Kenny Omega shirt. And if he doesn't buy Bullet Club merchandise at all, guess what? Maybe he'll buy a New Japan pay-per-view. Maybe he'll watch it on Access TV. I don't think blocking's the right way to go and calling a fan a mark. But, hey, that's just me as somebody that works in digital marketing, so what the hell do I know? We had Chaos Beretta, a.k.a. Trent Beretta, Tomohiro Ishii, and Toru Yano, the perennial comedy character, their version of Santino, for any American fans that aren't familiar. They defeated Bullet Club, which included Bad Luck Fale, Tamatonga, and Tangaloa, and Michael Elgin and War Machine, and Suzuki-gun, which included Taichi, Takashi Iizuka, and Zack Sabre Jr., and Taguchi Japan to win the 6-man tag team championships. Have you kept up with that? Yeah, that was a gauntlet match. I was not the biggest fan of this match, but I was happy that Beretta, now being a heavyweight, got a title. I was happy that Ishii got some gold in the meantime, although I think he should get a major singles title. But the next night on New Year's Dash, the Bullet Club regained the tag titles. So, yeah, they kind of hotshot that one. I guess they wanted to make New Year's Dash special, and it was pretty special. Kota Ibushi defeated Cody, a.k.a. Cody Rhodes, who was with his wife Brandy Rhodes as his valet. This was a great match. This went about 15 minutes. This was probably the best match of Cody's career other than the one against Okada on the Access TV Long Beach special last year. Tremendous match. Really good heel work and timing by Cody. At the big spot in the match, and of course you have the Golden Triangle moonsault, which Ibushi always hits on the outside. But the crossroads from Cody, off the apron, freaking Ibushi landed head first and he already has a bad neck. For those that don't know, he's got a history of neck problems. My God, this was awesome. The Ibushi got the clean win. And this played into, of course, New Year's Dash, which is like New Japan's Raw after WrestleMania. Just awesome. And Cody still rocking the blonde hair since last month. The shades of his brother Goldust, as well as the legendary the American Dream Dusty Rhodes' his father. We had Los Ingobernables de Japón, Evil and Sonata, defeat the Killer Elite Squad, Davey Boy Smith Jr. and Lance Archer to win the IWGP Tag Team titles. This was a shockingly good match. I'm not into the tag team division, at least the heavyweight tag team division in New Japan. They hotshot the titles far too often. The matches are kind of boring. I like Lance Archer and Davey Boy Smith Jr., even though at times I feel like Smith could still get some more charisma. I mean, I guess you can't get it. It just maybe comes naturally. You got to develop it or something. But I mean, he's definitely better in Japan than he was in WWE, that's for sure. But I always felt like there's something missing as far as like charisma-wise. He's a damn good pro wrestler. But in this match, I mean, the Killer Elite Squad lived up to their names. When they originally came out, Lance Archer was drinking from a water bottle, spitting in people's faces. It was just hilarious. He's just spitting on this person's face or that person's face. I get heel heat and it's Japan. It's not America. It's a little bit different. New Japan, they give the wrestlers a lot more leeway with their characters, but I don't know if it's a good idea for a guy to be spitting water or anything in the face of the people that are presumably paying the most money for your shows. Like, he had like 5 water bottles and he just kept spitting in people's faces. This like went on forever. It was hilarious. So anyway, the match was awesome. Just a tremendous match. Like I said, the Bullet Club got the win. Or I'm sorry, not Bullet Club. Los Ingobernables got the win. Sonata looked really good here. Lance Archer showing some great agility. Him and Evil, I mean, hit a Spanish fly off the top rope. I mean, Davey Boy Smith Jr. has got some hops too for a big man, but Archer and Evil, man, just a tremendous match. I called this the Mike Awesome Memorial match. For anybody familiar with Mike Awesome back in the day, that dude was like 6'4", 6'5". He was considered a super heavyweight by pro wrestling standards. And the dude was doing moves like the Hardy Boys in FMW and ECW. And if you were a fan of Mike Awesome's style back in the day, this was the match for you. Like I said, the Mike Awesome Memorial match. Los Ingobernables got the win. We had Hiroki Goto defeat Minoru Suzuki in a hair versus hair match, and it was also for the Never Openweight Championship. Suzuki was the Openweight Champion. Another great match, hard-hitting. Suzuki's a great tough guy. I know some of his matches lately have been a hit or miss because it features Suzuki-gun interference. The guy is 49 years old. He's got some limitations, but he is the best tough guy in pro wrestling. I mean, this dude is just a bad son of a bitch. He's a bad mofo, man. And Goto's a tough guy as well, a tough veteran fighter. They had headbutts, palm strikes, chops. This was the ultimate tough man match. Goto got the win. Afterwards, Suzuki-gun tried to take Minoru to the back, but nope. He went back in the ring. He grabbed the razor from Goto, shaved his own mohawk, put his hair down on the chair. He did not give his rival the satisfaction of shaving his head, but goddamn, Suzuki was a man of his word and was going to honor the stipulation in a loss. That being said, after he left, I thought, holy crap, New Japan is in trouble, because I think Suzuki in 2018, following being forced to shave his head, is going to unleash serious hell. And spoiler alert, him and Suzuki-gun did at New Year's Dash when they attacked Hiroshi Tanahashi. So it looks like it's going to be Suzuki and Suzuki-gun feuding with Tanahashi, with Suzuki challenging Tanahashi for the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. Oops, I guess I spoiled the other match, which was Hiroshi Tanahashi taking on Jay White. Not a bad match. Jay White debuted his Switchblade character in an actual wrestling match. Just kind of slow, kind of plodding. I don't know. White tried to work on the arm, worked on the knee. I know a lot of people blame Jay White for this match, but I'm also going to put the blame a little bit on Tanahashi here. Now, Jay White was not as over as I'm sure the New Japan team would have liked him to be. But it was asking a lot for a former young boy to, get a new character and debut at the Tokyo Dome. Think of it kind of like, this is a bad example because I feel like Switchblade's a better, Fandango's a pretty good worker too, but he's not taken seriously at all where Switchblade was. It's kind of like with Fandango. His in-ring debut was against Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 29, and fans, frankly, just didn't buy it because it's Fandango and it's a new gimmick, and they weren't really familiar with the guy. Now, again, Switchblade is way more of a serious character than Fandango was in his creative prime, so I think he'll be all right in the long run. Personally, I know in Japan they don't always put the young guys over right away, but I think if you were going all the way with Jay White, ahead of time you're not going to know, or before the match starts, you're not going to know the match is going to end up boring and having the least heat out of a lot of them, right? I would have had Jay White go over, especially because Tanahashi's hurt. The thing is, Tanahashi's hurt, and New Japan management has talked about trying to make a safer work environment, especially after Shibata had a subdural hematoma when he hit that headbutt at Okada, which was a great match. It turned out to be his last match. I mean, the guy almost died. I mean, Honma had his neck injury. Like, you'd think they'd be a little more careful, and you would think that, Kidani and the New Japan management would, I don't know, kind of be like a coach, getting in the way of his player and saying, you know what? You might not want to stop playing, but we got to bench you and do the best thing for you. I wish somebody in New Japan management would do that, because Tanahashi is a legend. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world, and it's a freaking shame to see him hobbled and broken down because he's got that old Japanese wrestling mentality where it's like, I got to keep going. New Japan needs me. God bless the guy. I hope Suzuki beats him. I hope Suzuki holds on to an IC title for a while, and I hope Tanahashi goes on the shelf for a while and finally gets some damn surgery or something to properly rehab his bicep, his knee, everything, man. Just take 6 months off. Hell, I wouldn't be opposed to Tanahashi taking a year off till next year's Tokyo Dome. I mean, the guy's earned it. My God. I don't know if they have downside guarantees in Japan like they do in WWE, but hot damn, this guy needs a break. Somebody in New Japan come to their senses, put this guy on the shelf for a little bit. He needs a rest. Jesus Christmas. We had Will Ospreay defeat Marty Scurll, Hiromu Takahashi, the Time Bomb, and Kushida in a rare Fatal 4-Way match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title. They don't normally do these multi-man matches in New Japan, at least when it comes to for singles titles. Ospreay got the win with the Oscutter. This was a great match. A lot of high flying here. A lot of spots. It included Marty Scurll using the umbrella, hitting people with the head. Hopefully he hit them more on the neck and the arm, but I don't care if an umbrella is light or not. That's going to hurt you and could cause some concussions, but everybody looked good here. Takahashi got the biggest pop in this match. I was hoping that Los Ingobernables would get a clean sweep here in the night, but evidently they didn't. Will Ospreay got the win. And what's cool is if you're a Will Ospreay fan, if you're a Marty Scurll fan, you know that these guys have been feuding for years. And for years and years, Marty Scurll has always gotten the upper hand on Will Ospreay. And finally here, it was Ospreay on the biggest stage at the Tokyo Dome, getting the win and regaining the IWGP Junior title to become a 2-time champion. We had the co-main event. Kenny Omega versus Chris Jericho in a no DQ match for the United States title. I don't know how to describe this match other than this was very different from any kind of match you'll see in America, at least on WWE or Impact or any of the major promotions here. This felt like a fight. Yes, there was a lot of WWE style, counters, and you had the Walls of Jericho and the Lion Salt, the Code Breaker, lots of weapons and chaos. Actually, you know what? In a way, it was kind of like I'm trying to think of like a crazy chaotic match that fell off the rails, but in a good way. Okay, it was like the WWE TLC main event with the Shield and the team of Kane and Miz and all those guys, where it was just an absolute train wreck. But this was like a good train wreck, if that makes any sense. I mean, these guys brawled on the outside. They went through, they went through a table. There was a foot stomp through a table. Kenny Omega, jumped off, one of the light stands, which Will Ospreay also did. Belt shots. Kenny Omega was busted open. There was a one-wing angel attempt that was countered into Walls of Jericho. Jericho pushed the ref. Jericho put the ref's son, who was one of the young boys, in the Walls of Jericho for no apparent reason. Jericho took a camera and flipped off the crowd and flipped off Kenny Omega. This was just a great, violent match. I know some people didn't like it because it felt like it went a little too long. Some people didn't like the fact that it wasn't as quote-unquote athletic as some of the other matches that Kenny Omega has had. But listen, man, Chris Jericho is 47 years old and maybe, just maybe, had the best performance of his career in terms of just character-wise. I think the only other thing I could compare it to in terms of just character-wise, his best performance in a match, probably one of his matches with Shawn Michaels in 2008. And that's saying something, because that's one of the all-time great feuds. This is an excellent match, super different from any New Japan match you'll see, you have seen, and maybe we'll see for a long time. Kenny Omega got the win with the one-winged angel on the steel chair. I can't stress this enough. You should go and watch this. And by the way, this whole card aired, well, it replays on New Japan World. And 4 matches of this card, not the whole card, 4 matches of this card, aired on Access TV tonight. So if you missed it, I'm sure they'll replay on Access TV. You might want to look at your DVRs. And if you don't have Access TV, sign up for New Japan World. It's about $9 a month, and you'll be able to watch this show, because it was tremendous. But of course, before I put a bow on this show, we had the main event, which was Kazuchika Okada taking on Tetsuya Naito for the IWGP Championship. Okada got the win with the Rainmaker. Both men kicked out of their finishers. Naito kicked out of the Rainmaker, which has been well protected over his last year and a half. Okada kicked out of the Destino, which is Naito's finishing maneuver. There was no interference by Los Ingobernables. Great match. I got to watch it a second time. I'm planning on watching it again, because I watched it when it was really late and I was half asleep and everything. I mean, I still was able to pay attention for most of it, but you got to remember, it was like 7, 8 a.m. by the time this match ended. But I loved it. A couple complaints, though. One, Okada rocking these pants that look like something from Boogie Nights. They got to go. I'm sorry, they got to go. The long pants, I'm not feeling it. If he wore tights, it's one thing, but he was wearing long pants like he was going to Studio 54 or some nightclub in Atlantic City or Las Vegas. I'm not feeling this. I'm sorry. I know he's the Rainmaker. I know he's this rich guy and everything, but no, don't. Okay, do not. If you're the best wrestler in the world, you should not be channeling Disco Inferno when it comes to wardrobe choices. The other thing, the finish. For those that don't know, Naito was named the MVP by the media in Japan, covering New Japan Pro Wrestling. Although you can make the argument Okada's the in-ring MVP. Los Ingobernables merchandise is some of the top merchandise selling on ProWrestlingTees.com and in Japan, outside of outside of the Bullet Club. You know, and just in North America alone, going to the U.S. and traveling all over the U.S. and Canada this year. I was in Toronto. I saw a bunch of Bullet Club merchandise. I've seen some Los Ingobernables merchandise, in New York City here and everything. And I gotta tell you guys, in any public setting, particularly wrestling events, I've not seen any Chaos or Okada merchandise. I have seen Bullet Club merchandise. I have seen Los Ingobernables merchandise. On top of that, while Okada did get a nice ovation, the crowd popped the biggest throughout the night, other than for Kenny, for Los Ingobernables. They popped the biggest for Naito. Every time the guy makes his entrance, they're chanting, Naito, Naito. This was the time for Naito to get his win back. He lost at the Tokyo Dome before against Okada. That was the whole story. He won the G1 again. This time he's no longer a babyface. He's the guy that's the leader of Los Ingobernables. He doesn't give a damn about authority. He's got his own cult following. He's ready for his destiny. He was ready to hit that Destino and get the win. And he didn't. Now, I don't know what the hell New Japan's waiting for. Dave Meltzer on his radio show, Wrestling Observer Radio, shout out to them, opined that it looks like Gato, the booker, wants to make Okada bigger than Antonio Inoki, bigger than Riki Choshu, bigger than Fujinami, bigger than Shinya Hashimoto, all those legends of New Japan, bigger than Keiji Muto, the Great Muta. And while that's great and all, the reality is Okada just turned 30. And whether he held the title for a day longer or breaks Hashimoto's record or anything else, the reality is timing is everything. And I felt that, like, on their version of WrestleMania, the timing was right for Naito, who, by the way, is 35 years old, to win the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. Because get this, Okada, again, is only 30. Knock on wood, he stays healthy. This guy's got maybe, and I'm praying he stays healthy, another decade on top. That is plenty of time to solidify your legacy and put yourself up there with the all-time greats. In fact, he's already up there with the all-time greats. That's the thing. And I know he's on a historic run, and look, he's been consistent in the ring. He is one of the top stars of Japan and all of wrestling, but I just felt like the time was right. Now, the consolation prize at New Year's Dash the next night was Naito defeating Chaos in a tag match, destroying Okada afterwards. Sonata actually hitting Okada with the skull end and then choking him out. So it looks like it's going to be Okada versus Sonata, which should be a great match, but not one where I think anybody's going to believe the opponent's going to win at all, based on the booking of Sonata. And as far as Naito goes, well, he was attacked by Chris Jericho. It was a big pull-apart brawl. It was awesome. Jericho is such a great heel. He flipped off, the press. He said, "That's what I think about Japan." He's an amazing heel. He's an amazing heel in New Japan. And on a worldwide basis, this is going to be great for Naito. It's going to raise his stock, especially if he wins against Jericho. And let's face it, at this stage, he should win. With all that being said, I still think Naito should have won the title. He could win it later this year. He should win it later this year. All I got to say is this. I don't give a damn about Kenny Omega's contract status in 2019. I don't give a damn about where Okada is in 10 years on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling. Okay? We're talking about right now, 2018. If Naito and Omega do not have IWGP heavyweight title runs this year, I'm not going to say it's a failure for New Japan, but I'm going to say creatively, there's something effed up there. There really is. Now, if ticket sales aren't affected and they're still selling out and doing very well, and they're getting subscribers in New Japan World and people are watching Access, I guess that's fine. But you got a guy, Naito, who's a great worker, who's super charismatic, who's a guy, too, that also, he takes a lot of big bumps and stuff, too, and he's had his fair share of dangerous spots, but there's times where he's a psychological genius. He doesn't have to. In a lot of ways, kind of like Nakamura, where Nakamura can just make some funny faces and can draw a huge paycheck in WWE. Although the Nakamura we see in WWE is definitely not one of the best wrestlers in the world. He was, though. I'm just saying. Naito should be the guy right now. It's unfortunate he isn't. LA still hopefully get a victory over Chris Jericho on a big stage. And hopefully get an IWGP title run down the road. A real one. Not a 1-month one or 90-day one like he had last year or a couple years before that. But, I thought this was the right time for him to win. But he's got Chris Jericho. That's a big angle. The other big angle at New Year's Dash after the Bullet Club defeated Roppongi 3K and Cheeseburger in a comedy match. Kenny Omega. Well, they won that match. Later in the night, Cody Rhodes in a tag match with the Bullet Club got the pin on Juice Robinson. And after the match, Cody Rhodes attacked Kota Ibushi. And him and the Bullet Club were beating on Ibushi. Cody Rhodes got the steel chair. He was ready to take out Ibushi. And who should stop Cody Rhodes, a Bullet Club member, from taking out Kota Ibushi? None other than Kenny Omega, former tag team partner of Ibushi in New Japan in the past when they were both junior heavyweights, and in DDT when they were there for quite some time. This got a huge pop from the crowd. Both guys shoved each other. More teasing for a match. I could see them having a match in Long Beach since it's going to air on Access TV live. Who knows? Maybe they'll save it for Dominion. Maybe they'll save it for WrestleMania weekend when it's a ROH and New Japan joint. Actually, technically it's not a joint show. It's an ROH show with New Japan wrestlers, but you might as well call it a joint show, WrestleMania weekend. So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. So after they're separated and everything, Kenny Omega cuts a promo and says that he thinks the Bullet Club needs to be a unit again, which is funny because Cody got the win there. Kenny Omega is the U.S. champion and has successfully defended his title several times, including against Chris Jericho, the legend. Tama Tonga and company just recaptured the tag team titles. Yet, Kenny Omega's saying the Bullet Club's not stronger than ever. And the Young Bucks just recaptured the junior tag titles. But I get what he's saying. There's been some infighting with Tama Tonga, with Omega, and with Cody Rhodes. Okay? There has been. So he says he thinks that they need to get stronger, and the way to get stronger is by recruiting the talented Switchblade Jay White. So he calls out Jay White. Jay White comes out. He gives him a Bullet Club shirt. Jay White puts the shirt on. They pose. They hug. He raises his hand. Jay White does like the 2 sweet or like the 1 sweet. And then Jay White goes across the neck like, okay, this guy's dead. Hits I think it's called the Blade Runner. It's essentially a Sister Abigail, a downward spiral. I hate that move because I feel like everybody uses it. Elias uses it. I think Test used it back in the day. So many guys have used that move and continue to use that move. I'm sick of it. I know it's New Japan, it's not WWE, but Jesus Christmas, find a new finisher, Switchblade. But I'll say this, he does hit it very well, and Kenny Omega landed on his head and sold it like $1 million. The Bullet Club ran back out as Switchblade posed and threw the shirt back at the Bullet Club, which got a great ovation. And later in the night in a press conference, Switchblade joined Chaos, Kazuchika Okada's group. Although Okada reluctantly did not hug Switchblade, and Switchblade did warn him that, hey, at the end of the day, down the road, I'm going to want that IWGP title, and it doesn't matter whose team I'm on. So I don't think Switchblade's Chaos relationship is going to last that long. It's already lasted longer than his Bullet Club affiliation, but I do like this ongoing storyline of Switchblade kind of being a loner. Although I would like to see him get some wins. Now he didn't get a win in New Year's Dash, but I would like to see him get some major wins over time. So we'll see what happens there. But overall, it's been one hell of a week for New Japan, setting up Suzuki versus Tanahashi, which should be good, although Tanahashi is pretty damn beat up right now. Of course, we got the ongoing storyline with the infighting of the Bullet Club. Are they going to lead to Omega versus Cody right away? Or are they going to do Omega versus Switchblade? You got Okada probably facing Sonata, and of course down the road, him rematching with Naito. But in the meantime, Naito's got Chris Jericho. So I am excited for the future. We'll see what happens. And of course, Will Ospreay, who's he going to face? Is he going to face Marty Scurll one-on-one again? Is it going to be Kushida again? Is it going to be Takahashi? Is it going to be an outsider? We shall see. So major thumbs up to New Japan Pro Wrestling. So that concludes our New Japan Pro Wrestling portion of the show. Let's get to some WWE news. We had Monday Night Raw, which I thought was a pretty damn good show, a New Year's Day show. GM Kurt Angle confirmed on New Year's Day that the Women's Royal Rumble later this month will feature 30 female superstars, just like the male version. We had Jason Jordan defeat the Bar Cesaro. This was a pretty good match with Jason Jordan showing some heel tendencies. When he was celebrating with Seth, he kind of, walked away from Seth and was really into himself. Although Seth at the beginning of the show interrupted Jason when he was challenging the Bar and said, "Listen, man, I think you're going to lose," which I didn't really understand why you would say that's your tag team partner. We had Bray Wyatt defeat Apollo Crews. Matt Hardy came up on the screen afterwards and appeared and just trolled him, and several screens featuring Matt Hardy appeared. It was like 1,000 screens. As Jeremy Bauer said on Twitter, Matt Hardy is officially a human troll, which was just tremendous. John Cena officially confirmed as a Royal Rumble entrant, although it's rumored that he's supposed to have a big match that does not involve AJ Styles or the championship. So the only big match I could think of him having that's bigger than... I love The Undertaker. I don't want to see him look like crap again. But at the same time, if you're The Undertaker... I don't know what his financial situation is, but if somebody offers you $1 million or a couple million, however much he gets for a match at WrestleMania, hot damn, you're going to say, there's a broken hip? I can go. It's no big deal. It's $1 million. But selfishly, I'd like to see him out of it. Nia Jax chose to visit an ailing Enzo Amore in the hospital over cornering Alexa Bliss against Asuka. She had some Tupperware of soup. We got an advertisement for the 25th anniversary of Raw, which is taking place January 22nd on USA Network at the original site, the Manhattan Center, and at the Barclays Center. Asuka beat Women's Champion Alexa Bliss in a non-title match via armbar. This went way too long. Commercial break. The Asuka character is not that interesting when she has long matches unless it's like against some really good wrestlers like Ember Moon. And unfortunately, I'm reporting here that Alexa Bliss is not Ember Moon. She's not very good. She's a great character, but I think there's a lot of flaws with her overall. One, whereas a girl like Charlotte, who started off very green when she was pushed heavily, got a lot better to the point where she's one of the better workers in the company right now. Alexa Bliss is not there, and she's worked at a high level, or with more experienced women the last couple of years. She's gotten multiple title runs. She's not that good. She really is not that good in the ring. I'm sorry to say. Great character. She's definitely got a fan base, but not that good. Also, too, there's something to be said about a tiny, diminutive heel who more often than not outside of this match wins clean. I mean, she beat Mickie James clean. She beat Sasha Banks clean. Isn't the point of being this tiny ass heel? Isn't the point of her character that, like, hey, she's a girl that just barely squeaks by? She has Nia Jax help her. I mean, Nia Jax has helped her here and there, but when it comes to these big matches, she usually wins clean. Where's the heat? I mean, okay, maybe they want to be like New Japan and have clean finishes all over the place, but that's usually not the MO for WWE booking, especially for a tiny heel like Alexa Bliss. Go figure. But this was not good. This did not do Asuka any favors outside of the win and keeping her streak intact. Her having to sell for Bliss, yeah, this did no favors for Bliss either. Braun Strowman destroyed Heath Slater and Rhino. This was hilarious. He gave guys multiple power slams. Kane was backstage trying to convince Strowman to join them and take out Brock Lesnar at Royal Rumble. He said, nope, I ain't doing that. So there you go there. Backstage, Finn Balor revealed to Kurt Angle that he's going to be teaming again with his Bullet Club brethren, Gallows and Anderson. We had Goldust and Cedric Alexander, of all people, team up to defeat Arya Daivari and Drew Gulak. They also teamed up on 205 Live and got the win. With the explanation being that since Goldust is Gulak's friend, he's allowed on 205 Live. What? I don't get that. I don't understand that. But, hey, it's WWE. We had Roman Reigns defeat Samoa Joe in a great Intercontinental title match. It was a match where if Reigns was DQ'd, he'd lose the title, based on last week where he shoved the referee and was fined $5,000 and took out Joe with steel steps. Reigns got the clean pin with the spear. I would have liked to have seen Jason Jordan interfere and cost Reigns the title. It would have been a cheap way to lose the title, but Joe's a heel. It's heel heat. And Jason Jordan backstage did confront him and Seth and say, hey, you know what? Like, I'm your guy, and if the bar interferes, I got your back. Believe that. This guy came off as the corniest man alive, not named Drew Gulak. It was hilarious, but awful at the same time. We had Balor, Anderson, and Gallows in full babyface mode defeat Elias, Bo Dallas, and Curtis Axel. It was nice to see these three back. I hope this pairing or this trio remains intact. I would like to actually see Finn Balor win the Royal Rumble and go to SmackDown and challenge AJ for the title, but at the moment it might look like Nakamura is going to win, or Roman Reigns. Or maybe Cena, we don't know. Paul Heyman cut a wild promo hyping Brock Lesnar versus Strowman versus Kane for the Universal title at Royal Rumble. This was good, but, nothing we haven't seen before from Paul Heyman, and I don't blame him. It's hard to get excited for Kane. It's hard to get excited for Strowman as a challenger when he's probably not going to win, even though I think a lot of fans would like to see him win the title. I'm not really interested in the Brock character anymore. And Raw ended with a pull-apart brawl with Brock and Kane. Kane hit a chokeslam on Brock. Brock got up like The Undertaker, rose up with the zombie sit-up. I should also note earlier in the night before the Joe and Reigns match, Joe cut a great promo you guys should seek out where he talked about how he put Dean Ambrose on the shelf, how the Shield can no longer be champions together because of him. And now that Dean Ambrose is injured, he has to mooch off of his wife because he can't make a living. And he said this while Renee Young, Dean Ambrose's real-life wife, was interviewing him, which got a big pop from the crowd. This is awesome. Also, kudos to the crowd here, which was pretty hot at the American Airlines Arena in Miami. So I did give Raw overall a thumbs up, but it did drag in certain parts, and it's really, really hard to get excited for Kane in the main event level. That being said, Roman Reigns, if he does win the title at WrestleMania, you know what? Even though we've been there, done that, even though creatively I still disagree with how he's used as far as not turning him heel and giving him more of an edge. But I'll tell you this, man. Even with all that, if he continues to have good to great matches like he does on a consistent basis, especially lately on TV, not just on pay-per-view, hey, I'll take 6 months of Roman Reigns having great matches. Why not? So, we then had SmackDown, which featured Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan still going at it. We had the Usos defeat Benjamin and Gable in a quick match to retain the SmackDown Tag Team titles. Gable and Benjamin looked like they had the win, but the legal men weren't in the match when the pin was made, so they restarted the match, and right away the Usos got the win. Hopefully they'll continue this feud because, these teams I think are definitely capable of a better match than what they got. I mean, they didn't get a lot of time anyway. We had the Bludgeon Brothers destroy Breezango and the Ascension. We had the United States Championship quarterfinal, which was Xavier Woods defeating Rusev Day ambassador Aiden English. Afterwards, Big E fed Woods pancakes out of his tights, which is kind of disgusting. We had the Riot Squad defeat Natalya, Carmella, and Tamina. And afterwards, they brawled with Charlotte Flair, Naomi, and the returning Becky Lynch. Baron Corbin officially entered the Royal Rumble. And in the main event, Sami Zayn defeated AJ Styles in a non-title match because of all the distractions. Shane McMahon was at ringside. Daniel Bryan was at ringside. Daniel Bryan was trying to tell Shane to go to the back. Kevin Owens was interfering. And finally, AJ Styles, the WWE champion, flipped his lid. He lost another non-title match last week to Owens, this week to Zayn. And he said, you know what? I'll face you guys in a damn handicap match if I have to. So Daniel Bryan kind of sort of turned heel and said, that's a great idea. And at Royal Rumble, it's going to be AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in a handicap match for the WWE Championship. And some of the crowd booed, but once you started doing the yes chant, the fans just said yes. Poor Shane and AJ, that's for sure. Overall, I thought this was pretty entertaining, but I'm getting kind of tired of this Shane McMahon feuding with everybody saga. It's been going on the whole year since last year. Since last year, really. I don't know where this is leading to, especially if Bryan is not going to be cleared by WWE. I guess he can't do a Bryan and Shane match. I could see at WrestleMania maybe Shane picking one representative, Bryan picking another representative, and whoever's representative wins gets full control of SmackDown. Actually, that might not be a bad deal. Now, that being said, they're still going to have to prolong this program for another 4 months to get to that destination. And I don't know if they're that patient to do that because, man, oh man, every week it's the same damn thing. But we'll see. As for Zayn and Owens against AJ Styles, I can see AJ winning because of the fact that I'm sure Owens and Zayn will turn on each other in some way or another. Or maybe they'll do a deal where Owens or Zayn, and I'd prefer Zayn because I'm a big Sami Zayn fan, and I think he deserves a shot after finally getting out of the mid-card purgatory. I think it'd be nice if Zayn got the win, won the title, and what you could do is do a rematch at the next pay-per-view, which I believe is Fastlane for SmackDown. And what you could do is have Owens turn on Zayn in their handicap match, rematch, and have AJ win. And that way that leads to Zayn versus Owens at WrestleMania. Even though we've seen it a million times, it'd still be kind of a new wrinkle. But there's also a part of me that wants to see Zayn and Owens stick around as a team for a while and eventually challenge the Usos for the tag team titles at WrestleMania. Because I think they'd be a fun team and they could still go after singles titles. We'll see what happens. But I am intrigued. I'm just tired of this Shane McMahon thing, man. I really am. But hey, maybe you feel differently. 205 Live. Not much going on. Enzo Amore was out with the flu all week, so best wishes to him. We had the returning TJP, who you might not want to search on Twitter because apparently he was outed for some unique habits. He defeated Akira Tozawa. Gentleman Jack Gallagher attacked Hideo Itami before their match could begin, so this feud must continue. And Cedric Alexander and Goldust defeated Drew Gulak and Arya Daivari in a Raw rematch. This show is so dead. With the mixed match challenge, say that 10 times, debuting in a little over a week, around the same time as 205 Live. Yeah, I don't think it bodes well for 205 Live. Especially with WWE having to cancel one show on the 205 Live tour because ticket sales aren't doing so well. Not good at all. Definitely not good at all. Ugh. As for NXT, it was more of a year in review special. They showcased the NXT Championship match between Drew McIntyre and The Undisputed Era's Adam Cole the night before NXT TakeOver War Games. McIntyre got the win. Shawn Michaels had Sweet Chin Music on Kyle O'Reilly to even the odds and counted the pin for McIntyre. Almas, Zelina Vega, and Johnny Gargano cut promos to hype their match at TakeOver. We had a nice look at Ember Moon's rise to the top, the women's division, and, of course, the tag team division. Not much of a show, but, easy show to watch to get you caught up on if you haven't been paying attention to NXT. As for the current Royal Rumble card, right now it is the men's Royal Rumble match with Shinsuke Nakamura, Randy Orton, John Cena, Finn Balor, Baron Corbin, and Elias Sampson as the only male superstars confirmed at this time. I'm sure we'll get some more guys there. As far as rumored Royal Rumble entrants, likely Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, Seth Rollins, Jason Jordan, Sheamus, Cesaro, Jinder Mahal, The Miz, The New Day, Bray Wyatt, Matt Hardy, maybe Kurt Angle, Triple H, and The Undertaker as well. On the women's side, we have confirmed Ruby Riott, Sarah Logan, Liv Morgan, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Paige, Sonya Deville, Mandy Rose, Naomi, Becky Lynch, Asuka, Dana Brooke, Alicia Fox, Tamina Snuka, Carmella, and Natalya. So I'm sure we'll get some women from NXT and maybe some women from the past like the Bella Twins and Michelle McCool. My buddy Julian Cannon is nervous that John Cena is going to win the Royal Rumble and that Mrs. Cena, Nikki Bella, is going to win the Women's Royal Rumble. I don't think you got to be worried there, bro. I could see Asuka winning this one. Asuka is still official for this match, by the way. But they could do Alexa Bliss versus Asuka at Royal Rumble instead. We have, of course, a triple threat. Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman versus Kane for the Universal title. WWE Championship Handicap match. AJ versus Owens versus Zayn. Or versus Owens and Zayn, I should say. The finals of the United States Championship Tournament will be the Royal Rumble as well for the vacant title. I believe it's going to be Bobby Roode versus Jinder Mahal. We have one more quarterfinal match to go, though, which is Mojo Rawley versus Zack Ryder this coming week. Also, this coming week on Raw, The Miz is going to be returning, finally. And as far as other rumored matches for Royal Rumble, it's rumored there's going to be a Raw Women's title match, a SmackDown Women's title match. And as far as rumored entrants for the Women's Royal Rumble, the only ones I have listed here are, as I mentioned before, the Bella Twins, Michelle McCool, and Ember Moon, the current NXT Women's Champion, who will be facing challenger Shayna Baszler at NXT TakeOver Philadelphia. And speaking of NXT TakeOver Philadelphia, we got some good stuff here. So we're gonna have Bobby Fish and this is a spoiler alert, by the way. So if you don't want to be spoiled, you might want to get out of here. Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly of the Undisputed Era, they're facing the Authors of Pain. Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly are the current NXT Tag Team Champions. They defeated Sanity to win those titles. They're defending them against the Authors of Pain. And we have Shayna Baszler already being pushed to the title picture, taking on Ember Moon. Adam Cole versus Aleister Black is announced in an Extreme Rules match. And we have the main event, which is Johnny Gargano taking on Andrade Cien Almas, which should be a hell of a match. And I'm sure we're going to get an appearance, maybe during the match or sometime during the show, from his former tag team partner who turned on him last year, Tommaso Ciampa, who is returning from several injuries. So, an exciting week in WWE. John Cena is also advertised for WWE Fastlane, which is a SmackDown exclusive pay-per-view. So, presumably, he's going to be on SmackDown only. We'll see. By the way, the New Japan Long Beach, California show is going to be on March 25th at the Walter Pyramid, and tickets are going to go on sale January 29th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So if you want more info, just follow New Japan Pro Wrestling on Twitter. They also have a New Japan Pro Wrestling Twitter English account. So, and of course, you can just visit us on thesportscourier.com, follow us on Twitter. We will definitely keep you guys posted. And lastly, in terms of WWE news for the time being, this has been a busy-ass week, guys. We have 6 teams confirmed for the Mixed Match Challenge show, which features mixed tag teams battling it out for not only brand supremacy, but they will also win, I believe, $100,000 for their respective charity, even though it's a work, which is kind of silly. Yep, $100,000 for their respective charity. But who knows? Maybe if they're booked to win, they'll actually be able to pick out a charity of their choice as opposed to WWE's choice. This is going to be on Facebook Watch, which all you got to do is search WWE Mixed Match Challenge on Facebook. Like and follow that page. and you should get notifications for that. If you like WWE as well on their Facebook page, I'm sure they'll be sharing that video. And again, you can just visit thesportscourier.com because we'll be embedding all those episodes on our website. But here are the mixed tag teams that are confirmed as of right now. Braun Strowman and Alexa Bliss, Finn Balor and Sasha Banks, Rusev and his real-life wife Lana, Bobby Roode and SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair, Apollo Crews is filling in for Enzo Amore and Nia Jax, and Jimmy Uso of the Usos with his real-life wife Naomi. The participants at the moment without a partner are Asuka, Nakamura, Alicia Fox, Goldust, Bayley, Sami Zayn, Natalya, Carmella, Miz, a member of the New Day, which is to be determined by fan vote, and either Jason Jordan, Elias, or Samoa Joe, which will also be determined by fan vote. I have a feeling Samoa Joe is going to get that. Whew. So overall, man, it was a kick-ass week of professional wrestling, a really good Raw. Even though I wasn't a big fan of SmackDown, I'm happy to see Sami Zayn in the title picture. He's one of the best wrestlers in the world. Kevin Owens is pretty damn good himself, but Sami Zayn is awesome, and I always feel like Sami Zayn's been underrated, not by the fans, but by the booking of WWE and Vince McMahon. So it's nice to see him get some time to shine. Just some quick notes as far as what we got up on the SportsCourier.com. I just did a recap of NFL Wildcard Weekend, at least the first night. I have a New Year's Revolution review compilation. I have retro reviews of New Year's Revolution 2005, 2006, and 2007. I have some updates on UFC, all the highlights of all the shows I just mentioned tonight. And on top of that, on TSC Gaming, I just uploaded my Life is Strange Before the Storm Episode 3 review. So if you're a fan of Life is Strange and video games, please subscribe to my gaming channel, youtube.com/TSC Gaming, or you can just visit the one website for all your TSC needs, whether it be sports or gaming, thesportscourier.com. Whew. As far as what's coming up, of course, we got Royal Rumble coverage. We're going to be having a Royal Rumble preview. I also just uploaded part 2 of our 2017 WWE Awards. So all you got to do is go on our YouTube channel or on our website and check that out as well. And I uploaded a 4.5-hour compilation of our best WWE pay-per-view reviews. If you guys like it, I'll upload part 2. It's pretty damn long, but hey, a lot of people said, hey, we want to catch up on some of your recaps that you did throughout the year. Well, I got you covered there, so please feel free to check that out. We're going to try to make this a regular occurrence of Pro Wrestling Week in Review right here on Facebook.com/thesportscourier and in the podcast section and on, of course, thesportscourier.com. So please, folks, if you enjoyed this video, this podcast, click the like button, share this with all your friends. If you're tweeting it, if you're Facebooking it, use the hashtag TSC News. You can follow me on Twitter at Fred Ricciani. Follow us on Twitter at Sports Courier, at TSC News on Instagram. Of course, Facebook.com/The Sports Courier. You can take a drink for every time I said, of course. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channels, youtube.com/The Sports Courier. If you click on any of the Amazon links in our YouTube descriptions or on our TSC posts and purchase anything that helps bring money back to TSC and continues to allow us to provide you guys content. Or if you want to support us and rock some TSC News gear, you can visit teespring.com/TSC-news-gear. We would greatly appreciate the support. Or you can just subscribe to this channel, subscribe to this page, share this with all your friends. Whichever way you choose to support TSC News and my strained voice due to this cold, I truly, honestly, sincerely, greatly appreciate it. So, until next time, everybody, take care. Please like and share. I'll talk to you again soon. And as always, enjoy the matches.